Hey everyone, Stegar here and welcome back to Hunterville. In today's episode we're going to start off by working on this Railyard that I began working on in episode 7 but never got around to finishing because I kind of got a bit sick of working on the Railyard at that time, but today we're going to finish it and that takes up about 4 minutes of the time lapse, and then I'm going to move over to the suburban area on the other side of this rail line and kind of just continue to expand the city. So yeah, this didn't take very long as I kind of had an idea of what I wanted to do, and that was just put in these gantry cranes here and put the little thing on top of it so it looks like they can actually function and there's something moving on them that carries the containers and things. And here I'm just putting down these decals for where the containers will go and be stacked when they're doing whatever they do at a rail yard, and just stack the containers so they can load them onto the trains and unpack them or whatever, and leaving some space in between the rail line and the containers so that trucks could drive through here and the gantry cranes could load up the containers onto the trucks. And there's another empty space on the other side of the containers so they can kind of do a full loop around this area. And here I'm just putting in a fence to kind of fence it all off and stop people from coming in if they're not allowed in here, I guess. And using this little security booth as kind of a checkpoint or control point for people coming into the rail yard. I mean, ultimately you could just like walk through there at night time or something, or I guess they'd have security there at night time so that people don't go in and take a container of TVs or something. And also just putting in that little road there to make it look like there's actually some way of getting up over the curb there, because usually you just got a curb there and it doesn't really make sense as to why the cars would be driving over a curb if there's going to be a lot of traffic here. Anyway, I'm just putting down some prop trucks now to kind of add a bit to the area, I guess, and just putting them along the fence there so it looks like they're out of the way for other trucks that'll come through. I also put in a pavement road off camera so that I think you can get trucks driving around here. I don't think they choose to because there's nothing here for them, but it's there in case I do want to like set up something so that trucks drive through here. It could be as simple as forcing a traffic manager, doing some stuff with traffic manager to force traffic through here, but I don't think I'll do that, and just putting these arrows down so that people know where to drive. I also put in this turntable thing here as I'm trying to connect up to the rail line, and yeah, just working with the angles a bit to try and make it look as if the tracks here kind of diverge from the main track and go into the turntable, and then I think I connected up on the other side as well, but here I'm just putting down the blockable gravel to kind of cover up where it's clipping through. I mean, I understand why it is clipping through though, because otherwise you'd be left with some weird ground stuff going on, so I guess the maker of this asset chose to have it clipping through anyway. Yeah, so that's basically all the rail yard stuff done now, and I am deleting a whole lot of stuff from this elementary school, as I feel like it wasn't really big enough and it was just kind of crammed in between one block of about the same width as this one, and I felt like they needed more space for sports fields and things. And also I went through and replaced all these houses because I changed the orientation of this block and kind of needed to replace that all. Yeah, so beforehand we had a soccer field here, and later on you'll see that I don't really add in any sports fields, it's just kind of a blank space. And I feel that given it was summer, it kind of makes sense, as I was flying around Google Earth a bit and saw a whole lot of schools that don't really appear to have anything drawn down. Maybe that's the quality of Google Earth, or maybe that's simply because they don't maintain the sports markings on the fields when they don't really need to, and just paint them back in when the time comes around again that they need to use the fields again. Anyway, here I've placed down one tennis court for the school. This one is there since it's a tennis court and that's what assets are available, and the basketball court is still there from when we placed it down when we first built the school. And I also put in a little shed for like sports equipment or something, and just lining the edge with some trees to kind of make it apparent that this is the boundary of the school, and putting a fence in too with some gaps so that people can walk through and watch their kids play sport when there is sport to play and it's not the middle of summer when they're on holiday. But yeah, just putting in some more fences and stuff, and then we're going to move over and place down some power lines. I thought we were going to move on to the next part of the video now, where we start on a high school, but I'm just placing down some power lines through this area first. I don't really have any notes for today's episode, but yeah, here we're placing down some roads, so create a new suburb, and this one's mainly in a grid pattern. You'll notice that I've gone back to having the inside of the grid being 9 by 9 squares rather than 8 by 8. I did this on purpose. It may seem like it's going to be hard to find houses to fit in there, but I created some 3 by 3 houses with some more that can function as backlots that I'll put in here later, and just upgrading all those roads to the Suburban Street by Urbanists so that they don't have the lane markings, as I feel like you wouldn't need them for a lot of these roads. I can change some to have lane markings if I feel like they are a main road that requires them, but a lot of the time many suburban streets don't really have lane markings, and only the really important ones do, as it requires more to maintain and stuff. And here I'm just placing down 2 of these Toronto high schools right next to each other, and it's going to form the main part of this high school campus, and putting down some tennis courts here and stuff. Okay, this is going completely off topic, but I downloaded and tried using the mod that removes the crossings from your city, and upon loading that, it basically went from using about 26 gigs of RAM in total to maxing out my 32 gigs of RAM, so I stopped using that mod. It was kind of disappointing, but I figured that there's obviously some sort of memory leak or something with it. It said in the description that there could be, and I just decided that it wasn't worth it, and am not using it. So I'm a little bit disappointed by that, because I have actually done a lot of detailing throughout the city to try and cover up some of the pedestrian crossings and things, and mainly in parts of the downtown where I feel like the parking lots and things that connect into main roads don't really require pedestrian crossings and stuff, and only having them at main intersections and things. But that was kind of disappointing. But getting back to what's going on the screen, I placed down a parking lot, and here I'm just placing down a few trees, and these ones are in little planters. Actually, I think the little planters are parts of the tennis court building, and there were probably trees in there, but I would have taken them out with prop it up, and making some other little trees and planters along the high school to try and make it not look so concrete, even though it is pretty much all concrete. And yeah, this episode I created about 60 something new houses. That equates to about like 25 different models, just kind of detailed 2 or 3 different times, and different configurations. Like the ones I'm using here are 3x4 houses, and throughout a lot of this new suburb I'm using 3x3 houses, and some like 2x4 and 2x3s as well, to try and fit in different spaces. But I'll talk about that more when we get to it, which is going to be soon, but I don't know how far away that is. And here I'm just placing down like 2 sports equipment sheds, as I feel like there'd be a lot more sports equipment at this high school than what there would be at the elementary school. And I'm just trying to put down some like grass tufts around the place, It's kind of hard to see with like my LOD settings and stuff, and they just kind of disappear, but yeah, and also putting in some random little grass in that other patch, and extending these trees out. And here I'm actually starting on the suburbs. As you see, I placed down this road and putting these backlot houses along that road, and then using these front ones along the front to try and make it look as though they lead into the back ones. I designed these specifically so that on the leftmost like half grid tile there is a driveway going through the front ones, and on the back there in the leftmost grid tiles there's the continuation of that driveway that leads into the house and stuff, and leads into the garage or carport or whatever. And then I did the same for the right side. I made like maybe like 4 of each, I can't exactly remember, but basically just made a few variations so it doesn't look like it's just being repeated, and I can kind of randomize things a bit without having it look so repetitive. And here I also made some houses that don't have fences on them so that I can kind of customize things and make houses that don't exactly fit into the grid shape. And yeah, here I'm just kind of making some more houses along the side of this rail line. I've probably said this already, but this is probably not the best place to live, with having the rail line there and having the rail yard across from the rail line, I guess. But anyway, I was just trying to make some larger lots and stuff to kind of fit in this space, and adding some minor detailing just like trees and vegetable gardens and things. And sometimes I had like swings and trampolines. I think there's a trampoline in that one. And just putting bushes along all the back of these fences just to kind of add some more detail and cover up the grass where it doesn't really look like there should be grass. There's about half a grid square between where the fences are and where the gravel for the railway line goes. And this is a really awkward shaped lot. It's like an L shape, but it just kind of fits in the back of that other lot, and putting some weeds down to try and fill in the rest of this area that is probably owned by whichever like government authority owns the railway corridor, but isn't really that well maintained, as I imagine that it would be hard to access from anywhere basically, since all the railway line is like separated out and fenced off and stuff. And yeah, here's some more houses along this smaller kind of grid. It's not even a rectangle, it's a kind of trapezoidal shape. And yeah, I just had to do some more custom detailing. So here I'm using what I have labelled in Find It as BB houses, I think. It's basically the A ones will have the fence on the left and the back as well as the front, and the B ones will have fences on the right and the front only. So you can either put the B ones behind the A ones and the fences won't overlap and stuff, or you can do what I was doing in this block and have it so that there are no fences, and I can just do things by hand using network fences in this case, as I am too lazy to use prop fences, even though there is the prop line tool and it makes it just as easy. It's mainly because I don't like the way that fences overlap and stuff when you use the prop line tool with the linear fence mode on, so that they end in the right spot, as it causes them to overlap but go to the right position, whereas if you don't enable the linear fence mode, it kind of finishes in line with the previous prop, and either shows it or doesn't show it depending on how far along you are. And I'm putting these white picket fences and some mailboxes in front of the houses, and just doing some random detailing here with trees and tables and other props. Yeah, and some vegetable gardens in that one, it seems. Yeah, I actually quite like these houses. I feel that they're a bit different from the ones I've done previously. Like the very first lot of houses that I did, only really contains like some first detailing. I think I went a bit heavy on the trees in those first ones, whereas in the later ones I didn't go so heavy on the trees and left a bit of like backyard space where people can just, I don't know, play backyard cricket or do something, have a paddling pool or something for their children. Anyway, I'm just finishing off these lots and copy pasting them over, and then we're going to go on to a live play today, and I'll show you what I've built because there's quite a bit off camera that I've done. Okay, so now we're in game and you can kind of see what we've worked on today. Here's the Railyard that we started off with, or the finished off bit of it, with the rest of it kind of going down here. And you've got the elementary school up here that I changed, as well as the high school with its massive empty field area that I was doing similar to this one, and all the suburbs and stuff in here. It looks nice now, but my frame rate is currently 6 FPS. Hopefully turning off all the LODs will improve it a little bit to like 14. But yeah, if we zoom right down you can see all the detail here still. It does look quite nice, all these houses kind of just sitting along the street and stuff. You got power lines and things too that I think I added this stuff in off camera for this episode, like this area. I did all the power lines afterwards. But yeah, just some nice little houses. I want to try and find one of those ones with the back section so I can actually show you how that all kind of fits together, I guess. Down here, yeah, the grass sprites are the only problem. They just kind of show up and are annoying, but yeah, you can see that the driveway goes all the way down into this garage, and then if you go down there's like a little house tucked away behind the houses in front. And yeah, just oh, has that one got some scrap in it? Yeah, that one's got like some piles of scrap in it. I think there's only like one type of these houses has it, and it's obviously this one. It's just kind of random detailing, and it's all sort of different. Like a lot of them have these little vegetable gardens, and I try and put like a little table or something in most of them, as well as a driveway and stuff. And here are the ones that back onto the sports field. That one I've used the wrong house that doesn't have a fence, or maybe the fence is like clipping off the back and I haven't realized like it's further out in the asset editor than what the game actually like loads in. Anyway, here you've got these basketball courts as well, and the tennis court there. The ground kind of does some weird stuff showing through this, but I mean, I'm just going to leave it because there's not really a simple way to fix it. But yeah, you got the high school here. It's a pretty massive campus, if I say so myself. Suddenly the frame rate drops as I basically capture the whole city in one like angle. But yeah, I temporarily added this little connection that goes down to the road, as I kind of want to spread the traffic out a bit more, because over on the other side of the city there's some issues. There's some serious traffic issues, but we'll head over there soon. Here you can see this Railyard. If I try and be careful about my frame rate and where I look, because even with like some of the LOD distances down, it's still pretty terrible. Yeah, you've got the containers and you've got this gantry crane. I think this is the second time I've said gantry train almost, but yeah, you've got the little thing here. It's actually looking quite good. And the mountain in the background, which I kind of created just for it to be a backdrop when I created the map. But if we look at the ground, which is kind of disappointing, I'll take you over to one of the main roads that I'm going to be working on in the next episode. So this main road has quite some traffic problems. So next episode we're going to come over and work on here. I actually don't add any lanes, but I add one under construction that could be like in the future if we really need it. I could add that in, but yeah, and my main focus is to more give these cars different opportunities to get into this part of the city than actually upgrading that road, even though it is like one of the main roads that leads into the center of the city, which is essentially this empty square here, which will eventually become a park, but I don't know when that will be. Yeah, I mean there's quite a traffic jam like back up here. I think I changed all of these to no, I haven't changed all of these to lights. That must be in the next episode and a different save game, but yeah, as you can see there's quite the issue here. Oh yeah, and I added in another lane here hoping that they would use this to turn into what is currently this taxi lane, but that changes in the next episode. Yeah, I have to say the city is slowly coming together. I still really like the downtown. There's a lot that needs to be added to it, like basically all over here is just going to be more downtown, and it might spread along like the banks of the river somewhere, and then you can kind of look back on the city from the opposite side and see all the skyline. But yeah, I think that's about it for this episode. Like as I've said, I've already recorded this one, and we'll probably be recording the commentary for it like while this video just gets posted or something, because I'm recording the audio for this episode like 5 hours after episode 10 went up. So if I haven't like mentioned anyone's comments, that's why, is because currently there are none, and knowing my videos there might still tend to be none on that video though. But thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this one, then leave a like, and if you're new to my channel and want to see more of my videos, then subscribe and ring the notification bell. That way you get notified whenever I upload a video. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one, where we'll be working on some road detailing, like all down here and including this roundabout. Take care.